Hi everyone, I'm Lou Wilson. Welcome to Tales of a Prophet. So, this is week one of sharing about the Tales of a Prophet. I wanted to preface something to start off with, and that is that we know lots about the function of the prophet, which is their role, what they do, all their stuff. But not many people are talking about the formation of the prophet. And so we are all walking through the formation of the prophet, whether we realize it or not, but nobody is talking about it and what it feels like, what it means, what's going on in the process. So this is not about old and new, okay? Old versus new, we're not doing any of that because I honor the prophets that have gone before us. I honor the prophets that are here now, and I honor the prophets that are coming because there are prophets that are rising up right now. So it's not about a new breed. You hear all these crazy catch cries and things that people are saying. It's not about the old versus the new. It's not about a new breed that's rising up, although there is a new breed of prophet that's rising up within what he is doing today. So it's about the yes to the season that God is building now in each one of us. He's doing a new thing, and he needs new era prophets. It means it needs to look differently as a prophet. So they've gone through, these are the ones that have gone through the process, a specific formation process in these last few years to become, I call it new era prophets because that's what the Lord has talked to me about, but it can be called many things. I don't want it to be like, this is what it is, okay? But that's what he's been talking to me about. He's been saying it's a new era of the prophets. It's new era prophets. And it's not that the old era is bad or that they are not being prophets anymore, but there is a transition that's happening. It's like an Elijah to Elisha moment where it's like double portion. And like for a new season, God is doing a new thing. And the prophets need to shift gears. We've become so used to some things, and we've become so, even as the body of Christ has become so used to certain things. And so it's not that the old is bad and the old is like being excommunicated. It's that he's shifting something. And that can mean that the new era prophets is also those who have been prophesying for a really long time. Like I have been prophesying. I've been in the function of a prophet for a really long time, but I believe he has been shifting me and molding me and making me in these last, I would say 6 years, 7 years, to become what he needs me to become in this new era. And so that's what we're going to be talking about. So the formation process has been extreme. It's been very deep. It's been very cutting to the core of who each of us are. So nobody walks the same exact road, but we will see that there are consistencies along the way as I bring in some of my prophetic friends to share their stories of formation, and also as you listen to my story of formation, you'll begin to see yourself in some of the formation process. So each person is individual. Each person has their own stuff that they are processing. Stuff that they have had that they have to deal with, and they each have their own family situations. They each have their own regions. They each have their own upbringings. They each have their own different things that it makes them the prophet that they are. But there will be some commonality in the formation process, and you'll be able to see that as we journey along. So we are beholding, and out of that we are becoming. He's drawing us back to himself. So it almost flow from that place of relationship with Jesus at a deeper level. So we can't go this way without him leading us. So welcome to Tales of the Prophet. This week, I felt that we needed to have a chat about prophets and rejection. Now, the Lord had been talking to me, and I've been walking through a process of prophets and being a prophet and being rejected many, many times over. And I'm sure if you feel like you are a prophet, that you have also felt like you have faced rejection after rejection after rejection, whether it is from your family, whether it is from your friends, whether it is from those you run with, whether it is from those you associate with or not associate with, whether it is from people on social media, whether it is people just responding to words that you have said. it's rejection. And so prophets really, really, really have to understand this process of rejection, because it will take you out. Now, I was chatting to the Lord about it, and I've written a whole pile of stuff down because the Holy Spirit gave me this huge download on it. So I'm going to kind of share straight from there. So if you want to grab a cuppa and sit down, and we're going to have a chat about prophets and rejection. Okay, so everything is prophetic because God is speaking all the time. I have said to everybody that I know that I associate with prophetically, I am always saying, if you know me really, really well and you've been hanging around me for long enough, you will hear me say everything is prophetic, because that's what my life is like. My life is continually prophetic. My life, it just speaks prophetically. It exudes prophetically. Every t-shirt I make, everything that I wear, every item that I have, all different things in my house, things in my rooms, things that are they're always prophesying something, or they are representing something, like a prophetic act or a prophetic symbol. And if I'm driving, there's always a billboard that can reaffirm what he's talking to me about, or a number plate, or there is something happening somewhere, or there is something going on, and it is a shout from the Lord. It is a scream saying, look here, look here, look here. And so that has been my life. My life has been, everything is prophetic. Now, people will laugh at it. People have laughed at it. People have gone, really? Or you prophets are weird. That is something else that I'm like so used to now. It's not ridiculous. But that place where people have always sort of looked at and gone, I think you're a bit extreme, or I think you're a bit much, or I think you think that everything's prophetic. Not everything's prophetic. We're not looking for Jesus under every single rock, but I don't even have to look for it. It's just that he is speaking all the time. And the thing is, we just have to learn to slow down and take notice. Now, as prophets, we're always on high alert. We're always ping, 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 stuff's going on around us. Like, I just came back from the shops and I could see demonic stuff on people, and it breaks my heart. And I'm just like, Lord, I don't know what to do about some of these situations, because he's not actually saying go up and do something about this particular situation. I can just randomly see it as I'm going about my day, and it's like heightening like my sight and heightening my spiritual senses. And it's like there's so much depravity and there's so much pain going on. But that's what it's like as you're a prophet. If you're switched on, there's something always happening, like you're attuned to the spiritual realm, and that can actually be really overwhelming for you. It can be extreme for other people. It can be too much for other people. And this is where this I want to talk about rejection, because this is something the Lord specifically talked to me about, because of these sorts of things, that how prophets are. It's easy to become rejected by others because they're like, you are way too much. You're extreme. You're OTT, baby, or all these sorts of different things. So the thing is that I always say everything is prophetic because God is speaking all the time. We just have to slow down and take notice. This can make prophetic people act, look, be weird to others. So you're revealing the ease of connection we are all called to in our relationship with God. It's that place where we have an ease to have a relationship with him, like in a place of koinonia, where it's like really, really close, and it's like we're always having this conversation. It's easy because it's like we've got this open connection that's always going on because of our prophetic function. Okay, so we're revealing the ease of connection we are all called to in our relationship with God. That's something that we're called to do. We're called to be like a conduit. We're called to connect heaven to earth. We're called to help people learn that they too can have a connection. That's why the spirit of prophecy is for everyone. The gift of prophecy can be asked for. It's like that place where I can have a personal relationship with the Lord, and he can tell me things. He can talk to me about things in my family. He can talk to me about stuff that's going on. He can help me deal with things, all these sorts of different things. That's part of what we're called to as prophetic people. So he wants to speak to us about our lives and about others. The gift of prophecy is to hear his heart and his voice. This can make prophetic people hard to take. Okay? I spent so many years having friendships where I thought that they were true blue, rigid edge, best buddies because of this. And I will explain it. And everybody that hears it will be like, that's me. Because I am prophetic and this is how it works. Okay, so this can make prophetic people or prophets hard to take, or hard to be around, or hard to be married to, or hard to have as a parent, or hard to have in connection with, close proximity with, to be friends with, to be in community with, if you do not understand how prophetic people work. Okay, so you can assume that they are judging you. I have had so many people say, you can see my stuff, I don't want to be friends with you. And I'm like, I'm not always looking at everybody's stuff. Like I said before, I went to the mall and I'm minding my own business and I walk past somebody and I'm like, whoa, there's something not good on that person. And it's not a judgment on a person. Let's get this straight. It's not a judgment on the person. It's just that I can see the demonic that is holding that person bound, or doing something with that person, or manipulating that person, or that person is under something that is affecting their life. And I'm like, I can see that. And I can see a way out possibly at times. So this is one. You can assume that they are judging you. You could assume that I can see all your dirty laundry and I'm going to be like, well, I can see what you've done yesterday, or I can see this, or I can see that. That is actually not what pure prophets are called to be. If you are around people that are doing that and that are that is the false prophetic. That is witchcraft. That is using it for their own personal gain. That's witchcraft. That is not actually what the Lord has given us, this ability, this innate ability, because it's within us. It's not that we're like doing anything or conjuring anything up. It's just there. And it's like, I can't help that this is who I am. This is just who I am. We can shut it down. And that's something else we'll talk about with this whole prophets and rejection thing. So you can assume as people that they are judging you. You could feel that you are being judged, and that you judge people, because that's what people will say. You can see all their dirty laundry. You can assume as a person that's connected to a prophet that they have a solution for you, like you're a popcorn machine. I've had that so many times. I've had people constantly send me messages. Oh, I need a word of the Lord. I need a word of the Lord. Can you give me a word of the Lord? I need you to pray for me. And they're the underlying thing is that's what it is. They're like, you're a popcorn. You hear straight from God. I don't have to hear from God. Now that is leaving the body of Christ. That part of that is what is leaving in the prophetic. That prophesy on demand, or prophesy to get something, or prophesy for notoriety, or prophesy so that somebody else doesn't have to have a relationship with the Lord. The Lord across the board, the Lord across the board, the Lord across the whole body of Christ is shifting things so that relationship with Him, intimacy with Him is going to be the only thing that brings us through. It's going to be the only thing that brings us through into the new, into what He is building, because He's building it. He's the builder and He's the maker. And we have to learn to partner with Him. We can do nothing by ourselves. So that is leaving. We are all having to go back to the place of where we all have to have an intimate relationship with the Lord and hear from Him ourselves. That's why one of the roles of the prophets is to teach everyone, this is how you hear from God, and you can do it. It's not just the person at the front, the man, the prophet that comes into town that has the only word of the Lord for something. Now, prophets and prophetic people are different. Let's remember that. Prophets speak to nations. Prophets root up, tear down, establish, all these sorts of different things. Prophetic people, high functioning prophetic people, will be able to hear the word of the Lord for other people. Prophets move in the gift of prophecy, okay? But those that are asking for the gift, it's a gift, you get given it. You can build your muscles up in it. Remember, we talked about this last week in the last one. You can build your muscles up in it if you use it. You can get better at it. And that's 90% of when you go to a prophetic school, like they're like, come and learn about the prophetic, 90% of it, because it's covering the body of Christ. It's not talking specifically to prophets. It's not training prophets, but prophets can be trained in the gift of prophecy. I can use the gift of prophecy really easily because I've been trained over and over and over in it. And it's not a gloat. It's just, it is how it is. Prophets should be able to use the gift of prophecy well. And so there's that difference. And the thing is that even though I can see stuff, it doesn't mean that I'm supposed to talk about that stuff. That's part of maturity in prophets. Okay. Another one is you think that they're meant to help you have a relationship with God, you're meant to have a relationship with God and not the prophet. That's what I just talked about. There's no go-between, since Jesus tore the veil and opened the way for us again to come boldly into the throne room. That's what I just spoke about, that place where it has to be me and him. You can get confirmation from somebody else that hears prophetically, but it's supposed to reaffirm what God has already talked to you about. It's supposed to, they're supposed to help each other. It's not supposed to be like, oh, I got this thing and I don't even know what to do with it. And the other part is maybe you will get something like that, but you still need to go back to the Lord and ask him about it. 90% of the time we've got 500 prophetic words that we've been given. We haven't done a thing with them and they've been shoved on a shelf, and the Lord's talking about the same thing over and over, and you go someone else and you're like, oh, I got the same prophetic word I got 400 other times. And it's like, that's because that's what he's asking of you to do, and you haven't done anything about it. You're just waiting for somebody else to give you something else. It's maturing. He's maturing the bride, even in this section. So this is another part. This is the part where I was like, this is me. Prophets will love you deeply and see who people truly are. Because remember, I said you can see people's stuff. It doesn't mean that you're constantly looking for people's stuff. It's not like, oh, I can see all your bits and pieces going on. I can see all the demons that are attached to you. I can see this. I can see that. We're not doing that 24/7, okay? If you are, you need to have a break, because you've got to learn to be normal and a person at the same time. Okay, so prophets, because they can see you, they can feel you, and it's not that's just the demonic side. I can see people's potential. I've seen people's potential in them. I've seen the callings and the destinies on people's lives. Every time I see somebody, that's what I see. I don't see the demons. I mean, I do randomly see demons on people and I see stuff, but I can see the calling on people's lives. As a prophet, I could see that, and I could call you out in it. As a child, I was always given the encouragement award, like the person that would encourage people the most, because I could see it. Didn't realize that that's what I was doing, but I could see people's potential. I could see, I could feel people's hearts. I could feel if they were having a bad day, and I would uplift them. I would do all the bits and pieces. I would encourage them. I would lift them up, and they'd be like, wow, you just know what to say at the right time. That's part of being a prophet. That's part of who you are as a prophet. So part of this with this prophets and rejection is that we love deeply, and we see who people truly are. So this is a tricky part, okay? I see who people are truly, and I love them deeply because I have the love of the Father in me, wanting to pour out and say, hey, I see this in you, blah, 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 blah. And that's okay, because you're supposed to have the Father's heart for people. As a prophet, you're supposed to have the Father's heart, and you're supposed to be able to see their potential, the truth of who they are, the destiny of who they are, and call them forth in that. But the trick is that you will also feel a burden to help them walk it out. Now, that may not be what you are asked to do. It depends in the situation. It depends if it's just your family. Like if it's your kids, you're definitely called to help them walk out the potential and the calling of who they are. If it's your husband, if it's your wife, all those sorts of different things. But sometimes you are not called to walk people through the process of becoming. And because we're so heart connected to him and heart connected, it's like we get this umbilical cord between us and the other person. And it's like, oh, I just want to help them get to who they are because I can just see it. And then it becomes me. It's my project. It becomes me having to get them there. It becomes me having to do it. And there's no relationship, or there's minimal relationship with the Lord. And it's supposed to point them towards having a relationship with Him so that He can do it. So the glory goes to Him. So they have a relationship with Him, because I can't hold that, and I can't bear that, and I can't carry that, and I can't be their running mate forever. They have to learn how to walk this out and carry it themselves. And they have to learn what it looks like from the Lord. It can't be like, well, I said this and I said that. That gets close to the popcorn machine, which can create rejection in us, because we have unmet places and unhealed wounds in us as prophets. Prophets have all types of stuff going on. Prophets have got rejection issues coming out the wazoo. That is something that the enemy will hit you over and over and over with. So when this happens, it can create a false connection from both sides. The prophets overcare and overshare. They think, oh, we're best buddies. We are best friends. But on the other side, people are not like, we're not best buddies. You just gave me a word. But from my side, I'm like, oh, my heart is so connected to them. My heart is so attuned to them. My heart is like, I can see who they are and I really love them. And the Lord's got so much going forward for them. And I really care about them. That's all wonderful. But it can create a false connection where we can overcare for people and we can overshare, which means that we think we're best friends and I'm going to give my whole world and I'm going to go deep, because prophets like to go deep. I tell you what, I go deep. And people are always like, geez, you go deep really fast. And I'm like, sorry, that's just part of who I am. But we have to learn some of this stuff in this. The other part is people can use you and dump you. Now, it doesn't happen all the time. I'm not saying this is a all the time thing, but there is a place where people can tend to use you and dump you. Remember, we talked about how people would say, hey, I need a word. It's like, oh, sure. Oh, I haven't heard from you in 3 years, but yeah, let's do that because I'm really connected to you still, because I'm like got this soul tie kind of deal going on. It's not a soul tie, but it feels like a soul tie. And then they can dump you, or they can receive what they need to receive, and they may have received it in a healthy way. And then they're like, okay, awesome. See you later. Bye. And it's like, oh, okay. I don't think you care about me. It's built on something that it shouldn't be built on, those relationships. Okay. Another part is they can reject the word, and that means you feel rejected because you are so innately connected to this word. And like I said before, you carry the Father's heart, you eat the scroll, all those sorts of different things. But our identity cannot be wrapped up in the word or the function of the prophet. Formation gets rid of the connection to just being in function, okay? Formation of the prophet breaks down all these things, and that is why formation is important. Formation is about your character. Formation is about healing. Formation is about deliverance. Formation is about generational stuff. Formation is about you becoming you healthily as a prophet. Function is about the things we do. Root up, tear down, keys of the kingdom, we have authority, we bind things, we loose things, we blah, 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 all of the stuff that we all are like, yeah, let's do this, let's just kill some demons, let's smash some stuff with a sword, let's do all the function. But we need the formation, and this is where we're getting stuck, because the formation process has been diminished. The formation process has been stopped. The formation process, people have been shoved on platforms, people have been shoved on pedestals, people have been put on social media way too soon before the formation process is even begun or is complete. Don't rush your formation process, friends. Please don't rush it, because it is so worth it. If you sit in the formation of a prophet, you will come out looking different and feeling different and having a different relationship with the Lord than it is when you just walk in function. Function can only take you so far in being a prophet. So when people reject the word, you think they're rejecting you because your formation process is probably in the middle of your formation process, and the Lord's going to deal with that. He brings stuff up all the time that, like I said, everything's prophetic. He brings things up like he's like, oh, release that word. And you release it and it's like a bomb drops and people are like, that is a horrible word. And you're like, I don't like me. And it's like, okay, well, Lord, I was obedient. So what in the world happened there? So you've got to come back to him all the time, all the time, all the time. If that's what who you're called to be, that is where your MO is. That's where you are, like your foundation is. Go back to him all the time. Okay, so prophets need their identity in him to stop us from performing and pleasing man. That's a trick. We love to please man. We love to do things on cue. It is our human nature to want to man please, to want to please someone, to want to receive love in certain ways that are unhealthy. I walked out of a lifetime of performance issues and man pleasing. It was like ridiculous. It rocked me for a couple of years where I was taken out of, our church ended, and my whole identity was wrapped up in me being a prophet. And there was nobody to prophesy to. And I was like, I'm nobody. I'm nothing. I have nothing. And the Lord was like, you are very dramatic. You are way too much. You have got your whole identity wrapped up in being the function of a prophet and receiving love through that gift, through that function. And I needed to learn, and I needed to be taken deep, deep, deep. Like the last 7 years, I've never felt the crucible of the Lord so, so, so deeply. Like the purging, the stone, the hot coals inside of me, the places where I thought I'm going to die because there's nothing left inside of me. And that's so. Prophets need their identity in him to stop us performing and pleasing man. Then we will bring his word in obedience. That's the thing. We need to bring it in obedience. Even if it is hard for people to hear, and will not cheapen it, change it, lessen it to suit man's response. That will reveal if you are living in a place of rejection. If you are worried about what man will say, what man will think, and I'm talking to myself here too, many a times I've had a word where I've gone, this word's going to drop like a bomb and people are going to be like, nah. I don't even get that much foot traffic when I give words. And I just have to be obedient. I have to believe that the Lord is releasing them to whoever is hearing them. I don't know who's hearing them. I don't know what's being said, but I need to release the word of the Lord when he asks me to release it in the place that he wants me to release it. Not before, not after, but at the right time. And I have to learn not to cheapen it, not to change it, not to lessen it to suit man's response. So rejection is a crutch for prophets to mature them. He will use rejection. He uses all things. He's God. We think, no, we're going to have the formation process. It's going to be beautiful and squeaky clean. No, he uses all of the horrible things that are hiding within us. All of the things around us that we think that we're okay with. It becomes things that he's like, that's an issue. That's a problem. And we're going to deal with it because you've said yes to the process. If you say yes to eating the scroll, if you say yes to the process of becoming a prophet, if you've said yes, somebody has prophesied over you or pushed you into a place of commissioning, and you've said yes to being a prophet, you will walk this road. And you can leave this road because many do not survive and many do not last to get to the other end. And there is a purification process that's happening in prophets that is so deep, so raw, so painful, so hard that many will not make it. There's been a few times where I've said to the Lord, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can keep going. I don't know if I can be a prophet. The prophet you're asking me to be, I don't know if I can be that. I don't know if I can be that fully. I don't know if I can carry that. I don't know if I'm okay with the weight of being that and doing that for my husband, for my children, for my family, for those around me. But I also feel the weight if it doesn't happen. And so it's like that place is like, whoa, what is the most important thing? And what are you going to cover, Lord? So rejection is a crutch for prophets to mature them, or it can take them out. They get to choose which it is. You can let it mature you, or you can let it take you out. Another thing, proximity can cause commonness. It's that place where those who are closest to you can find it hard to distinguish between the prophet and the person. I've had that happen many, many, many times. The place where commonness is hard sometimes for people to distinguish between you are speaking as the prophet or you are speaking as just you. And that's part of that stuff where they're like you're always switched on. And sometimes you're like over the top and too much. And they're like, oh, you're just too much and I don't know what to do. Or you're always so serious, or there might be some intercessory thing going on. And they're like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, nothing. And there's like a burden that's inside of you and you're carrying this burden. But it's got nothing to do with the people around you. But it just is like they're like, okay, this is, I don't know. I can't read you. I don't know how to read you. But the other part is that people might diminish what you're saying as a prophet because of the commonality between you and that person. Something that I have noticed, especially in my walk, is that when people are very close to you, it takes a very, very discerning person and a person that's been around you for a while to be able to discern what if it's you or if it's the prophet or the word of the Lord that's speaking out of you. That shift and that difference. And I take my hat off to those who have been there and who have lasted that with prophets as their friends, because it is a hard transition between, are you being the prophet right now or are you being the person? It's very strange and it sounds weird, but you watch, you'll be able to notice it. You'll be like, oh yeah, like I can just be me and then I can just be switched on. And it's tricky. It is really tricky. And we hold things very holy and they're like, you're extreme, you're too much, all that stuff. And that can cause rejection in you where you're like, why can't they just like me? Why can't I just be normal? But I'm not normal, unfortunately. You just have to get used to some of this stuff. Yeah, especially since the prophet is always switched on and can be intense. Sorry, we're intense. I try not to be all the time. So many times we can overshare, which can be met with blank stares. Like you're like, oh, I'm sharing my whole life story because it's attached to something the Lord did, because my life is so prophetic. Our lives are so prophetic, and he uses all things in our lives. There's always a testimony. There's always a story to be told. There's always something that's linking to something else. And sometimes people are just like, why can't you just like talk about the football? Why can't you just talk about the weather? The weather? Oh, I'll tell you about the weather. Like, they're like, just be normal for a minute. And it's like, I'm trying to be normal here, but I don't know how to not switch it off and not just be normal. So many times we can overshare, which can be met with blank stares, or we can clamp up because we have no words to share due to the current deep process. So like I said, there's a burden within us. And it's like, I got nothing to say. And it takes a good friend or somebody that's been around you for a long time to be okay with you just not saying anything. It's like, I got nothing to say. Like, I've got stuff going on, that's spiritual stuff going on right now, that I've got no small talk. I got no small talk. And it takes a very close dynamic and relationship to be able to be like, okay, I gotcha. Okay, it's got nothing to do with, like, you're not rejecting me, I'm not rejecting you, it's just something going on. So we could clam up. Also, you could clam up because they have previously looked at you with a blank stare and you're like, I'm not sharing anything again because they look at me like I'm an idiot with two heads. So yeah, pouring out in excess on people or a previous blank stared rejection. That's never fun. So it takes close friends many times, those who are also prophetic. Prophets need other prophets around them. Let's just say that from the get-go. Prophets do need other prophets around. That's why you need prophetic community. That's why we have I have a prophetic community that I facilitate, and you need other prophets to connect to that you can actually have conversations with that you don't need to have with your husband, because your husband's like, I don't even know what to do with any of this stuff. And that's okay. So it takes close friends, many times those who are also prophetic, to be able to decompress with and debrief with. You need them to debrief with. You need them to decompress with. So you don't look like you have two heads. And also it can give you, as a person, you can give yourself to those who are nearest and dearest to you without having to dump on them all the time. Like, I had 50 dreams and this is what's happening and blah, blah, blah. And like your husband's just sitting there or your wife's just sitting there like, how's your day, honey? Can we just talk about doing the washing? Can we just go out for dinner without, like, just be us? Or like give to your kids without the intensity of it all. It's a juggling act, and if we don't talk about it, and if this is why I'm sharing this stuff, because then it's like, oh, that's why there's always an issue in this situation, those sorts of things. So the weight of being a prophet can become too unbearable otherwise. If you're carrying it and you want to like debrief and decompress with someone, and that person is not the person you probably should be doing it with, and they're like, I don't have anything for you, and I'm like, sometimes I like share some stuff with my husband just because, and he's like, I got nothing for you, love. And I'm like, that's okay, I just want to talk for the sake of talking. And then I work it out as I'm talking out loud. Sometimes it's helpful. Most of the time it's not, because he's like, I got nothing for you. So I go to my prophetic friends. So the weight of being a prophet can become too unbearable otherwise. Rejection can rush in, burnout can occur, and callings can be dropped. It is a hard walk to be a prophet. And I'm talking to those who have been a prophet for a long time. I am thankful for you. I'm thankful for the walk that you've walked. I'm thankful. I constantly know that I'm standing on the shoulders of others who have gone before me, who have walked this road and have suffered and have sacrificed and have laid their faces on the ground with tears in their eyes and interceded for those to come forward. It is a hard yes. It is a very, very life-altering yes. And I don't think people think that it is, and they just see the awesome manifestations and the signs and the wonders and the miracles and the words and the awesomeness of, oh, look at you, you're cool, you can prophesy on cue. When in reality, the formation helps you understand the weight and the brevity of the fact that you're going to eat a scroll that's going to burn inside of you, and you're not going to be able to be in charge of yourself anymore, and you're going to have to speak when he tells you to speak. You're going to have to be quiet when he tells you to be quiet. You're going to have to do things that are uncomfortable to you. You're going to have to give your whole life to this. That's why I say things like rejection can rush in. You can become deeply offended as a prophet and go off the tracks. You can burn out because you are constantly performing for other people. Did that. Major burnout I had a few years ago. It was horrible. My body was like holding everything spiritually inside of me. And I was like, I got to give to everybody to make them feel like I'm important. I'm special. I'm needed. I'm wanted. And then my body went into burnout. And I could not do anything. And the Lord was like, you just have to learn to sit. And it was the hardest thing for me ever, because my identity was rooted in performance and in function. And callings can be dropped. And that's not what we want. We want everyone to fulfill their callings. We want all the prophets that need to be prophets to rise up and be who they're called to be. So the word is not always yours to carry. Sometimes others need to take responsibility for it when it is given. Sometimes, and that's why you've got to talk to the Lord about it. Like, am I supposed to release this? Who am I supposed to give this to? Am I supposed to carry it? Am I supposed to help them carry it? You're supposed to know all this stuff and understand all this stuff, because if you just give a word in immaturity and go, cool, thank you, bye-bye, and then you don't know what's supposed to happen with it, then it's just fallen to the ground. It's wasted. So this is, a word is not always yours to carry. Sometimes others need to take responsibility for it when it is given. Know your assignment and what you are burdened to hold in maturity. That's part of the formation process. It's not part of the function. We think everything's part of the function, but it's part of the formation process, because we understand when we are walking through formation what our assignment is and what it isn't. And we are okay with it because He's made us die to everything else. What we're burdened to hold in maturity, because the fear of the Lord comes with formation. It comes from a place of formation. Function is just you just doing the stuff. Frustration, anger, and offense can sit here if you do not understand this. Then performance and false responsibility comes. If you choose to make it yours, you have to hold it to come to pass. If you choose to make it yours, if you choose to take it and make it your own and be like, it's all about me, you have to make it come to pass. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't have anything in me that can make anything come to pass. I cannot force people's wills. I cannot do things. I am not going to be using witchcraft to make people do what I want them to do. That's witchcraft, friends. That's not the prophetic. And so if you choose to make it yours, you have to hold it to come to pass. You have no power to do it. It is God's word. Release it when it is time. Hold it to birth it in its time. You are called to be a vessel. You are meant to be emptied out, and the word is supposed to be coming forth through you, through your body, through what is happening in you. That is what's going on. Eat the scroll you are only asked to eat. There is only grace to carry what He asks you to as a prophet. Be wise. This is part of the prophets and rejection, because if you end up in places you shouldn't be in, they will reject you. You will be rejected if you do not carry, if you carry something you're not supposed to carry and you release something you're not supposed to release it. And you will be rejected if you release it in the wrong timing, or you carry it in the wrong timing, or you birth it in the wrong timing, or you speak it out of time. You will be rejected. And that will probably be a good thing. That's the grace of God right there, that part. Eat the scrolls you are only asked to eat. There is only grace to carry what He asks you to as a prophet. Be wise. Wisdom is important. Fear of the Lord is the beginning of all wisdom. Make sure you carry the fear of the Lord as a prophet. Orphan issues will make you perform. That is part of the formation process. He gets rid of that orphanness out of you. Hold things you shouldn't. Look bigger than what you are and be someone you are not. They're all orphan issues. Makes you perform. Makes you hold things you shouldn't hold because you think it means that you will get noticed. You will get a response from someone. You will get some love. You will get some validation. It makes you look bigger than what you are. I am not bigger than God. I am not bigger than anyone else. I am just me. That's part of the formation process. And be someone that you are not. It will cause you to pretend to be something that you are not. That's witchcraft, friends. That's manipulation. That's control. That's all part of the false prophetic. This invites the spirit of rejection into our lives again. When we are doing all those things and we are basically partnering with the orphan spirit, we are inviting rejection, the spirit of rejection to come again and again and again. Sons know who they are. They are His. Orphans look for man's praise. They look for man's praise. They look for man's acknowledgement. They look for platforms. They look for idol worship. That's what orphans look for. Sons look for God. They look to Him. Their life is bedded in Him. Orphans look for man's praise. Orphans look for acknowledgement. Orphans look for platforms. Orphans look for idol worship. They look for them. It's not that they come and like somebody says, here, there's a platform for you. That's the Lord opening a door. But if you are consciously looking for it, aiming for it, moving your stuff towards it, prophesying so you can get it, it's the motivation of our heart. What's the motivation of our heart? And that's part of the formation. We understand. It becomes revealed in the formation process. What is the motivation of our heart? Is it him and his kingdom come and people becoming who they're called to be? Or is it my own agenda? Is it me looking good? Is it me looking cool? Is it me sharing a word so I can get a pat on the back, or I can get some praise, or I can get some money, or I can get some stuff? That's the difference. When you make it about you, you come against God, who is the giver of the word. This is serious fear of the Lord stuff. And the one who will bring it to pass. God gives the word, God brings it to pass. When we start making it about us, we come against God. That's huge. That's gigantic. We try to become like God, which is pride. Friends, it goes before our fall. Pride is dealt with over and over and over in the formation process. Ego is dealt with in the formation process. If we do not look at it as it is and deal with it in the formation process, it will take us out in the function. If we have not dealt with it in the formation process, it will take us out in the function, because pride will come before we fall. We've seen that multiple times recently in different leaders. Pride comes before the fall because they didn't walk through that process. They didn't walk through the formation of who they were supposed to be. This is where the false prophets live. They look to man or God. Do you look to man or God? So if you are in the false prophetic, you are like going in a back door. There's only one way to get to God, and it's Jesus. And witchcraft and sorcery and divination goes through a back door. That's why they know all the information. That's why they can share a word of knowledge. But they don't have his power. They don't have his backing. And they have to manipulate things in the spirit realm and control things in the spirit realm to be able to bring it to pass. Now, if they understand how to do that and they don't have God's power, how much more would we be effective if we go through Jesus, the right door, and we get the same sort of information? Because that's like, they can get the same information as us, like, but they are getting it from familiar spirits that understand generational lines and different things. They understand how to go through back doors. But if we have God, who has all the power, all the honor, all the glory, all the authority, imagine how much more effective we would be as prophets in comparison to those that are false, in comparison to those who are in divination and witchcraft. What a shift that would be. So we must heal and deal in order to be an empty vessel who receives and carries his word, but always points back to him as the maker, the performer, and the finisher of all the works. The glory has to go to him. That's part of the formation process. That's part of getting rid of rejection, because it doesn't matter. It's his. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm not going to be rejected because it's not about me. I'm just a carrier of the word. Talk to the man in charge. As we mature in the carrying of words, we learn to hold them properly, release them properly, discern them fully, and explain or reveal them better. That's our job. That's what we're called to do. Maturity is being able to do these things. Carry the words, we learn to hold them properly. We learn to release them properly. Write the vision, make it plain so that they can run with it. Our responsibility is to be able to write the vision, make it plain so people can run with it. People can hear what is said and do something with it. Respond. They can't respond if they don't understand what you're talking about. If you're saying, I see a blue cloud and it's green and it's orange and it's got a dog over here, our responsibility is to bring the word in maturity and to explain it so people can understand it and run with it. Learn to hold them properly. Hold your words properly. Release them properly. Discern them fully. Words can take a process in themselves. Words can take a long time. I am very, very cautious these days of just releasing a word that I get that day, unless the Lord says specifically do it. Because there has to be a birthing process. There has to be a gestational process. There has to be an intercessory process to it. There has to be a place where you have to understand it fully to be able to share it with everyone else. Because that's your responsibility. That's your job. You have to understand these things, and that's part of the formation process. We have to be able to explain and reveal them better so people understand it. Immaturity will bring releasing of the words too soon or too late. It will bring not carrying them to fullness or birthing them correctly. This is huge. It will bring not the full revelation that is given. It won't be weighed and birthed in intercession first. It won't become part of you to be able to carry it well. You have to have a burden for it to be able to carry it. You won't carry it otherwise. You're like, oh yeah, whatever, flippantly just throw it out there. It won't land well with the body. It will be misunderstood, out of time, and misconstrued. And it will not fulfill its intended purpose, which is to bring understanding, revelation, and from that, a course correction to God's will for the person or the assigned region or assignment. All of these things require a dying of the person that is also the prophet. We have to learn to die to self, become alive to the process of maturing as a prophet. It is your function to bring what God is speaking and revealing at a time or season to others to help them come into alignment with Him and His will for that time or season. It is a weighty responsibility, and that is why many don't make it. Rejection takes many out. Pride knocks on their doors. Performance burns them out, and they make themselves idols. Prophets need deep relationships with God, not only to hear in purity, but also so that they are safe from snares of the enemy towards those who are the earthly mouthpieces of the one who created the world. They are friends of God, which means they are discipled and disciplined as those who are closer than many others are. Because they carry His heart, they are His voice, they reveal His ways to walk in, along with the apostles. They're the foundational pieces. They are honored, but that honor is costly. That death is undeniable. If you have not walked the road of death as a prophet, I would question if you are one. For death is a part of carrying His word to completion. The birthing of the word comes from the denying and the death of the prophet. The weight of his words will ask for nothing less. I hope this has been helpful for you. I really wanted to share some parts where it would help us realize that this is a serious process. This is a weighty, weighty, weighty process. And you feel like you're going to die, but hold on, because it is worth it in the end. Hopefully this has helped you. This has given you some encouragement, but in the end, we all will have to face whether we are going to walk it out or not going to walk it out. We each have a choice. That's free will. But I'm praying that we will all see what He has inside each of us and say yes to the process of formation as a prophet. Until I chat to you again next time, have a great day.